Hey guys, it's Maggie and I am back today to talk about summertime care with a stoma. It's something that I have to put a little bit more time into thinking about what I'm going to do that day because the heat and the humidity really get to me and they get to a lot of ostomy patients. So we're going to talk about that, but before I get into it, I'm going to talk about one of my favorite things that help me throughout the summer and really the whole year, and that is ConvaTec's new line of Esenta products. Esenta stain-free skin barrier and adhesive remover has become an essential part of my ostomy routine. I'm using them every time that I change my pouch. I use the adhesive remover to painlessly remove the ostomy bag, and you know in the summer, ostomy pouches tend to stick a little bit better, so definitely an improvement there. And then I use the wipes to get my skin completely clean so it's ready for the next pouch. Then I've been using the Esenta stain-free skin barrier to make a protective layer on my skin, which really helps with the wear time in the summer, especially now that I am swimming a little bit more. We just spent 2 hours floating down a river, and I noticed that my ostomy bag stuck through that and for a number of days afterwards. The Esenta line is definitely making a positive impact on my summertime ostomy routine, and I definitely recommend trying them out. ConvaTec is offering a free sample, so please visit their website, check out the different products, and place your order for a free sample. I know that you're going to love it just as much as I do. Thank you so much to ConvaTec for sponsoring this video. Now let's talk about summertime with a stoma. Now I don't know about you, but in the summertime I tend to feel a little bit better. I don't know if it's the warmth or the sun, but my Crohn's tends to take a little bit of a break, and then as it gets colder, I notice a little bit of an increase in symptoms. But what I do notice, because I'm also an ostomy patient, is that I have to deal with ostomy and the heat and the humidity, and that's definitely a challenge. For the last 13 years of having my stoma, I've had this new set of challenges that I've had to learn to adapt with. So we're going to talk a little bit about that and the different things that I've noticed having an ostomy, especially in the summertime, and what I do to combat those. We're going to start off strong talking about skin irritation. People with ostomies in the summertime tend to notice a little bit of increase when it comes to skin irritation, particularly fungal infections, because these fungal infections thrive when it's warm, dark, and humid, aka your peristomal skin in the summertime. So it's really annoying to get rid of fungal infections once they've already started. So I always say that prevention is key when it comes to this, and basically you want to avoid all of those things that fungal infections love. There are a few things that we can do to try to avoid this issue, and the first one is when you do your actual pouch change. When you take off your old pouch, you get your skin all cleaned up and you put on your skin barrier, you want to let your skin completely dry. You do not want it to be damp, even slightly moist, and then put on a new flange because you're just trapping moisture under there. Now, a lot of ostomy flanges are designed to absorb some fluid off of the skin, but it can only do so much. So the less moisture you have on your skin to start off with, the better. That's why I love the Esenta skin barrier. It dries extremely fast, so that way I'm not waiting super long for my new pouch to be put on, and also it provides that protective layer, so it kind of keeps moisture out that way too. I also noticed that it increased my wear time because it just helps the next flange stick better, which in itself prevents moisture from seeping under the barrier. Now I know we can't avoid all moisture here. It's the summertime. You are bound to sweat at some point. So it is something that I try to do. I try to stay as cool as possible, as much as possible, but when I'm out in the garden, I can't avoid it. So something you might be able to try if you're having a lot of trouble with sweat underneath of your wafer is actually using an antiperspirant. The one thing you want to make sure of though is that it's not going to interfere with the wafer's ability to stick to your skin, because that may be an issue. You want to find non-oily versions of antiperspirant. Also, summertime, people tend to be out in the water a little bit more. They might go swimming in the ocean, the pool. They might be sitting in a hot tub for a few hours, or you might just be running through a sprinkler. I don't know, whatever you want to do, you're allowed to do that. You're able to do that with an ostomy. You just have to make some other considerations to make sure that your ostomy bag is sticking well and you're protecting your skin. Something you might want to try is a barrier extender. This is something that goes around the edges of your wafer. It's usually arc-shaped and you use 2 of them, although there are a number of different shapes and sizes depending on what you use for your ostomy pouch. This can be placed around the edges of your wafer to help block water out, which is helpful especially if you're submerging in water for a long period of time, like if you're swimming in a pool or you're sitting in a hot tub. When it comes to swimming, I tend to like to wear high-waisted bikinis, and there's a few reasons for this. The first one being that it protects my ostomy. It holds my ostomy down. I'm not saying it was me. It was. My ostomy, I had a 2-piece ostomy on one time. It was early on in my ostomy days, and went swimming in the ocean, was having a great time. Did not feel that my ostomy bag had fallen off of the wafer. The waves just took it and ran. So when I walked up the beach after swimming, I noticed I was getting a lot of stares and didn't really know why. Well, people do tend to stare when your intestines hanging out of your belly. That's natural. It's not something you see every day. So I learned very quickly that I need to ensure my bag is secure, not just for the sake of other people, you know. They'll deal with seeing your intestine, but for yourself, you want to make sure that you have something on your stoma so it's protected in some way. I like the high-waisted bikini too because after I'm done swimming, I can actually roll down the bikini and let my bag air dry, give it some airflow. Now I know that's not for everybody, so if you like to wear a regular bikini or you're wearing swim trunks, you might want to consider wearing an ostomy belt just to ensure that your bag is definitely securely on there and not going to go swimming in the ocean. Or you might consider wearing an ostomy belt or a cover just to hold it down, and then you can remove it when you're on the beach or by the side of the pool drying off. And because it is a lot warmer outside, you know, you don't want to create that environment that is wet but also warm because of the fungal infections. So what I do even after showering is I will towel dry my bag. Sometimes I'll take a hairdryer on the cool setting and just kind of flow it over my bag a little bit to dry it off more quickly. And if it's still a little bit damp, I will usually wear some sort of loose-fitting shirt just to give it a little bit of airflow for a little bit of time. Or you can go shirtless for a little while. That's fine too. Another little fun note, and I learned this a couple of summers ago after starting one of my medications, a lot of IBD medications as well as other medications for other diseases do cause photosensitivity, meaning you're more sensitive to the sun, you burn a little bit easier. I got a wicked sunburn after my first summer of being on a biologic, so definitely something to keep in mind. Also, fun fact, if you have any scars, they do tend to burn faster than your regular skin. So if you're not looking to have your scars turn super red purple, definitely put some sunscreen on there. And because it is hot, we do need to be careful with our supplies. I have had this happen too, where I've left my ostomy bags, you know, some extra ostomy bags for when it flies off in the ocean. I have left them in the car before and they've unfortunately melted together. The actual bags have melted together, so that way there was no opening in them. So keep that in mind as well. If you're worried about that and you need to leave extra ostomy supplies in your car, maybe put them in something temperature controlled, like a little cooler. That way you're not being surprised later on when you put on a new ostomy pouch and you can't have your output flow into anything. This final tip is huge, especially for us ileostomy patients, which I am one of them. Because we don't have our colon, we are susceptible to dehydration a lot easier. It's important to be mindful of how you do with dehydration, how easily you get dehydrated, and what works for you to rehydrate. For myself, I know in the summertime you tend to have a little bit more activity going on, you tend to be out of the house a little bit more, so when I have days that I know, tomorrow I'm going to be out of the house, I might not have access to water or oral rehydration solutions, I need to prep today. So I will start actually rehydrating the day before, kind of get that going so that way the next day it's a little less taxing on my body when I do get dehydrated. Now obviously I recommend drinking small sips as frequently as you can. When we have ileostomies, a lot of the time if we chug a lot of water, it just goes right through us and we don't actually absorb a lot of it. That's why I love the oral rehydration solutions. There's a ton online that you can look up, or there are recipes that you can actually make yourself with different amounts of sugar and salt depending on your taste, as well as what absorbs into you best. So you can definitely look those up, try a few different ones. There's also ones that you can just buy at the grocery store. They help provide necessary electrolytes that help bodily functions, many bodily functions, as well as improving the ability for you to absorb fluid. Like I said, fluid does tend to run through ileostomy patients a lot faster, and electrolytes can actually help your intestines pull it into the bloodstream. Highly recommend ORSs, so definitely look into them. They are huge, they are so helpful in the summer, and they really just make you feel better because you know you're getting hydrated. And another thing that I do, this has nothing to do with the summer, but when I said I kind of prep the day beforehand and rehydrate, I do this before my scopes too, because I know that the next day, I'll be getting an IV and I want my veins to be as visible as possible for whoever's placing my IV. But also I know that I'm not going to be able to drink prior to the scope, and rehydrating the day before, really getting all of that oral rehydration solution in, helps me feel less hungover after the anesthesia. So little fun fact for you. Anyways, I am hoping that these tips have helped you with planning your summer activities. I know that it can be a little daunting to be living with an ostomy, especially for the first summer if that's where you are. And you just have to learn the different ways to adapt. So hopefully this kind of got your brain thinking about what you can do and how you can prevent any issues with either your stoma or your overall health. Thank you so much to ConvaTec for sponsoring this video and for the Ascenta line. I absolutely love it and I can't recommend it enough. Please get your free sample. I'll put the link below in the description, and I'll see you in the next. Happy summer!